It started with a fork. Not a dramatic one. No dagger through the heart. No burning hotel room mattress. No text messages that accidentally lit up while I held her phone. No, my story began on a Tuesday night with a fork. A real stainless steel dinner fork, the kind we got as a wedding gift from her Aunt Patty, wedged awkwardly under the lip of the dishwasher tray. And my wife, Melissa, was standing there, jabbing at it like the damn thing had personally insulted her family. "Why won't this stupid thing slide in?" she muttered, angling the utensil like she was performing surgery. I watched from the kitchen table, still in my work clothes, still chewing a too-dry piece of rotisserie chicken, when she finally gave up and slammed the dishwasher door. Clang. Rattle. Fork victorious. She looked up at me like I was supposed to clap. I didn't. "You want me to take a look at it?" She gave me that smile, the one that's all lips, no warmth. "No, it's fine. I'll just run it again and hope our silverware doesn't stab the motor." I nodded. Because that's what you do after 10 years of marriage. You nod, and you finish your chicken. And you ignore the part of your brain that's been noticing a pattern lately. Like how she's always looking at her phone when she thinks I'm not. Or how she's been going out more, book club, which seems to involve 0 actual books and an awful lot of perfume. I didn't want to be the suspicious husband. That guy. But something had been off for a while. Like a houseplant leaning toward a window it can't quite reach. So I did what any reasonable, semi-neurotic man would do. I checked the phone bill. There it was. A number. Repeated. Daily. Usually around lunch. And again, always after book club. So I wrote it down. I waited. And the next Tuesday, while she was gone to discuss chapters, I called it. A man answered. A casual, too familiar kind of voice. Like I just interrupted a nap or a post-something nap. "Hello." I hung up. Then I called again. "Hello," he said again, slower now. "Babe." I didn't hang up this time. Instead, I said, "Not quite." He didn't speak. You could hear the blood drain through the receiver. "Who is this?" he finally asked. "I think you know. Melissa's husband?" "Bingo," I said. Then I added, "You left your cologne on my passenger seat, by the way. Smells like a midlife crisis." Click. End of call. That was the first time I realized revenge wasn't about fire or fury. It was about clarity. See, I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I had something better in mind. I wanted to give her enough rope to wrap herself in so tightly that when I pulled, she'd feel every knot. And so I smiled. That night, I smiled when she came home. I kissed her on the cheek. I asked her how the book was. "So many twists," she said. She had no idea. So here's the thing about revenge, not the movie kind with slow-motion explosions and sunglasses at night. No, I'm talking about the slow-cooked, salt-rubbed kind. The kind that simmers. The kind you serve room temperature and unsettlingly polite. That night, while Melissa curled up on the couch texting someone who was definitely not named Claire from book club, I got to work. I ordered a new phone. Not for calling. For recording. Tiny. Discreet. Fit perfectly under the coat hook in the hallway where she liked to take her private calls. I installed a second mic near the kitchen window, her favorite spot to air out after her meetings. By Thursday, I had audio. By Friday, I had names. By Sunday, I had a Dropbox folder titled, just in case she forgets who she's married to. You might think this is where I lost it. That I charged into the living room, flung my laptop open like a courtroom drama, and screamed, "Gotcha." Nope. I made waffles. That morning, I set the table with her favorite vanilla bean syrup, strawberries, even warmed the plates in the oven like she used to pretend to appreciate. She came downstairs in her robe, scrolling on her phone, and looked at the display like it was some kind of hallucination. "What's the occasion?" she asked, eyeing the stack like I'd laced it with truth serum. I smiled. Just felt like being sweet. She narrowed her eyes. "You're acting weird." And yet, the waffles are still warm. She sat down, took a bite. Didn't say thank you. A few days later, I started phase 2. The long con. I started being better. Not clingy. Not suspicious. Just present. I complimented her hair, asked about her fake book club, even rubbed her shoulders while she sat on the couch pretending not to text someone named JT. Whose name, by the way, is Jared Thomas, and he's a part-time consultant with a wife he thinks is still clueless. I played dumb. Meanwhile, I printed things. Screenshots, transcripts, call logs, all organized in a manila folder labeled tax documents because I knew she'd never go near it. And here's where it gets twisted. The more I acted like the perfect husband, the guiltier she started to look. She flinched when I brought her coffee, jumped when I kissed her neck. One night, I caught her staring at me like I'd grown a second head. "You okay?" I asked. She nodded too quickly. "Yeah, just tired." "You've seemed distracted lately." "Just work stuff." She smiled. I smiled. Neither of us meant it. Because she was planning her exit, and I was planning her audience. You see, Melissa was many things: manipulative, dishonest, an above-average liar, but subtle. Not her strong suit. She'd started moving things to a storage unit. Not big stuff. Just parts of her. A ring missing here. A keychain gone there. A drawer half empty. She was trying to disappear in fractions. But I was documenting it all, piece by piece, day by day. And on the surface, I was still the waffle-making husband with the steady job and the too-patient smile. I wasn't going to confront her yet. That would have ruined everything. I needed her to feel safe, until she realized how completely trapped she already was. A week later, Melissa told me she was going on a team-building retreat. Oh, absolutely. And I, the ever-supportive golden retriever of a husband, said, "That's great, babe. You deserve a break." She kissed me on the cheek, light, robotic, a peck that could have been delivered by a drone, and packed her overnight bag like she hadn't already stashed half her life in a rental unit. I waited until her taillights were out of the driveway. Then I walked upstairs and grabbed the other phone, the one with the camera installed in the teddy bear she once gave me on our second anniversary. A little cheesy? Sure. But poetic, too. She never did pay attention to the bear after she gave it to me. Just like the vows, apparently. I tapped into the feed and watched her retreat unfold at the Hampton Inn. Her retreat's name was Jared Thomas, and he wore socks to bed. That's not a moral judgment. It's just weird. They weren't even discreet. Holding hands in the hallway, getting iced together like a sitcom couple, whispering and giggling like they'd just reinvented infidelity. Honestly, it was lazy cheating. No imagination. No paranoia. I almost felt insulted by how basic it was. Back at home, I started phase 3. I made an appointment with a divorce attorney. But not just any divorce attorney, hers. Yep. Turns out, she'd gone to exactly one consultation 6 months ago. That was enough to make the lawyer conflict out of representing her if I got to him first. So I did. I brought all the files. Photos, recordings, timestamps, GPS logs. Thanks, shared iCloud account. The guy sat there flipping through the folder like it was a script for a soap opera. "This is thorough," he said. "I don't like surprises," I replied, sipping my coffee. He leaned back. "You want revenge or just peace?" "Both," I said, but in that order. By the time she got back on Sunday night, smelling like hotel soap and pretending she was exhausted from trust falls, I had already redirected half our savings to an account with only my name on it. She never noticed. She was too busy texting someone about how we should do that again next weekend. The we wasn't me. Later that night, I cooked dinner. I know, I keep cooking. I'm not a chef. I'm a strategist. The kitchen is where she let her guard down. So, I asked casually as we ate, "How was the retreat?" She blinked. "Good. You know, trust exercises and personality inventories." One lady cried because someone called her passive. I smiled. "You get a lot out of it." She nodded. "I think so. Just nice to step back and remember who I am, you know?" Oh, I knew. I poured her wine. To remembering. We clinked glasses. She smiled at me like I was a fool, and I smiled back like I wasn't about to rearrange her entire life. Next weekend, she'd be retreating again. Except this time, I'd be retreating, too. And when she came home, let's just say, she'd finally learned the difference between disappearing on someone and being disappeared by them. She left on a Friday. Same as before. Weekend bag. Fresh manicure. That travel mug she never used except when she was lying. Same excuse, too. Another team-building retreat. I smiled as I handed her her coat. "Text me if you need anything." She didn't even look me in the eye. Just kissed my cheek and said, "I'll be back Sunday night. Don't wait up." She was right about one thing. I wouldn't be waiting. See, what she didn't know, what she couldn't know, was that she wouldn't be coming back to the same house. She'd left on a Friday, and by Sunday night, her life would be an unlocked phone with all the apps deleted. Let me rewind just a hair. On Thursday night, I called in every quiet favor I'd been stacking up. My cousin Greg, who works in real estate law, set up a holding company in my name. A little shell firm that, by 4 p.m. Friday, became the new legal owner of our house. Our shared house. The house I was about to refinance, right out from under her. Melissa had never wanted her name on anything. She said it was easier for taxes. I bet Jared thought that was adorable. I also changed every password. Bank accounts, utilities, streaming services, even the Wi-Fi. Small things? Maybe. But every one of them sent a message. You don't live here anymore. She wasn't the only one who could pack. While she was busy playing house with a married man who wore champion slides to the hotel pool, I was stripping the house clean of her. I boxed up every one of her things. Every shoe, scarf, perfume bottle, every inspirational wall quote she stuck in the guest bathroom. Live, laugh, love. She loved that one. Irony's a funny little beast. All of it went into storage. The kind of storage that requires a fingerprint to unlock and a password only I know. Then I printed the letter. Not an email. Not a text. A real, physical letter. It sat on the kitchen island waiting for her return, sealed in a crisp, white envelope with her name written in the same handwriting I used when I signed our wedding vows. Here's what it said. Melissa, welcome back. Or rather, welcome to the consequences. I know everything. Jared, the hotels, the book club that never read a page. I've seen the messages, heard the phone calls, and I've met with the divorce attorney, your former one, actually. While you were gone this weekend, I moved out. I figured that's what you wanted. After all, you've been moving emotionally for a while now. This was just the physical follow-through. Everything you own is safe. It's in a storage unit under your maiden name. I figured you'd appreciate the symbolism. I've already filed. The documents are waiting for your signature. My attorney will be in touch Monday morning. No, I won't be answering your calls. No, I won't be explaining myself. You wanted excitement. You wanted to feel something again. I hope this does the trick. Yours no longer. Jay? It wasn't venomous. It wasn't cruel. It was precise. Like a scalpel. You don't scream at a tumor. You remove it. But I wasn't done. No, the final act needed an audience. So I sent the same letter to Jared's wife. Yes, his wife. Sarah Thomas. Found her in about 15 minutes online. PDA board. Real estate agent. 2 kids. Picture perfect little life. I didn't send her photos. I didn't need to. I just wrote. Thought you deserved the same clarity I just gave my wife. You're not alone. Jay? I never heard back. Didn't expect to. Saturday night, I checked the camera feed. Melissa was curled up in that same Hampton in bed, eating takeout in a robe that didn't belong to her. Jared was scrolling on his phone beside her, laughing at something she said. I watched for a moment, not because it hurt, but because it didn't. She wasn't mine anymore. Hadn't been for a long time. I closed the laptop, shut the feed down for good, deleted the backups. What came next wasn't about her. It was about me. By the time Melissa walked back into my house Sunday night, bags in hand, ready to slip back into her old life like nothing happened, she was walking into a vacuum. No clothes in the closet. No photos on the walls. No husband on the couch. Just a letter. And silence. According to the Ring doorbell footage, which yes, I also rewired, she stood in the foyer for nearly 10 minutes. Just standing. And then she sat down on the floor, letter in hand, still as a statue. I didn't watch the whole thing. Just the beginning. Just enough to see the look on her face when the puzzle came together. It wasn't rage. It wasn't denial. It was realization. She'd burned the bridge. But I controlled the river. Melissa didn't call me. Not right away. Not the first night. Not even the next morning. She sat with it. I know this because I let the Ring doorbell feed run for hours. Not to gloat. Okay, maybe a little. But mostly to understand. She walked in Sunday night expecting routine. A kiss on the cheek. Reheated leftovers. Me asking how her trust falls went while she lied through her pretty, practiced teeth. Instead, she got echoes. And that letter. The next morning, she was still there. Same clothes. Same blank stare. At some point she curled up on the couch, the one I had bought before we got married. I left it on purpose. She used to call it ours, but now it was just furniture again. By 7:43 a.m. on Monday, she finally moved. Walked to the kitchen, probably hoping to distract herself with muscle memory. But there were no mugs. No coffee. Just clean countertops and an envelope where the coffee maker used to be, my forwarding address for legal mail. At 8:04 a.m., she tried calling me. It didn't ring. I'd blocked her the day before. At 8:17 a.m., she called my sister. Maggie didn't answer. I gave her a heads up. Let her stew, I'd said. No rescuing. Maggie said, 10 years she was family. I should at least hear her out. I told her, then she can mail you a letter like I did. At 9:05 a.m., the text messages started. I didn't read them, my lawyer did. He told me she sounded panicked but polite, which is peak Melissa. Can we talk? You're overreacting. You didn't even give me a chance to explain. Ah, yes. The classic explain the affair clause in the marriage handbook. Page 19, right after gaslight and deflect, just before accuse your spouse of being emotionally unavailable. Her last message, timestamped 9:41 a.m., just said, this isn't who you are. She was right. This wasn't the me she knew, the one who stayed quiet during fights, who smoothed things over with jokes and apologies, who made waffles the morning after she slept in someone else's lies. But that me? He left with the mattress. Around noon, I drove out to the lake. I'd rented a small place out there. Nothing fancy, just quiet. A cottage with creaky floors, a fireplace that refused to start on the first try, and a view that didn't require me to pretend to be happy. I brought exactly what I needed. My laptop, 2 bags of clothes, my grandfather's watch, the ceramic mug Melissa gave me on our 2nd anniversary. It read, you, me, and coffee forever. I didn't bring it out of nostalgia. I brought it to throw in the lake, which I did. Surprisingly satisfying. By Tuesday, her lawyer had made contact. Not directly with me, of course. She'd retained someone named Andrew Whitlock, a man who wore tortoiseshell glasses and wrote passive-aggressive emails like it was a dying art form. He opened with, Ms. Mercer is understandably confused and emotionally distressed by the abrupt dissolution of your marriage. Abrupt? I replied via my lawyer, Brian, stoic, cardigan-wearing, unbothered by drama. Please inform Ms. Mercer that the dissolution may have been abrupt, but the deterioration was slow, painful, and thoroughly documented. We attached a 54-page PDF. Photos, messages, hotel receipts, even one of her Pinterest boards titled Weekend Escapes, featuring the exact cabin she and Jared had stayed in. I titled the document, Clarity, a Marriage Post-Mortem. On Wednesday, Jared's wife emailed me. Short and direct. Thank you. I left him. He's staying at a Motel 6. If there's anything else I should know, please send it. Sarah, I did send one last thing. Not another file, not a recording, just a text Melissa had sent Jared 2 months ago. He still thinks I'm just tired from work. So easy to lie to someone who never asks for anything. Sarah wrote back, sounds like you deserved better. I did. But this story isn't about justice. It's not even about pain. It's about power. Not the kind where you yell, break things, show up drunk in the rain yelling, how could you? No, I'm talking about the kind of power that comes when you stop waiting for someone else to choose you. That's what Melissa never understood. She thought silence was weakness, that when I didn't argue, it meant she'd won, that my calm was surrender. But silence is just patience. And patience, when pointed in the right direction, is a weapon. By the end of the week, the divorce was officially in motion. No fights, no tears, just a clean disassembly. Like 2 business partners dissolving a brand. Only one of us had been quietly stealing inventory behind the scenes. She tried calling again. Blocked. She emailed once more. Marked unread. She even showed up at the cottage. I didn't open the door. She knocked. Called my name. Said she just wanted 5 minutes. I sat inside, sipping tea and letting the kettle hiss louder than her voice. Eventually, she left. A woman used to getting what she wants. Now walking away from the one man who finally told her, no. People always ask what betrayal feels like. It's not a punch. It's not even a cut. It's a slow unraveling. A thread pulled for so long, so gently, that by the time you notice the fabric's gone, you're already standing in the cold. But healing? Healing is deliberate. It's quiet. It's drinking tea instead of wine. It's choosing not to answer the door when the past comes knocking, dressed in regret and half apologies. Melissa made her choices. I just made them matter. The thing no one tells you about clean breaks is they're never actually clean. You can cut the cord. You can file the papers, change the locks, burn the memories. But ghosts don't follow rules. They show up in small things. Like the way your phone auto-suggests her name when you type, I'm okay. Like hearing a joke you know she would have ruined with that nasal laugh of hers. Like reaching for a second coffee mug in the morning without thinking, then stopping, because you're not that guy anymore. The guy who made 2 mugs. The guy who waited. I spent most of the first month in the lake house with quiet. Not peace, not yet, just the absence of noise. And silence can be worse than anger when you've spent a decade being talked around instead of to. But then I started to remember how to be a person again. I fixed the old porch swing, built a fire pit, read a paperback cover to cover for the first time in years. Started running again, mostly because the cottage had no Wi-Fi and the walls creaked like they had secrets of their own. And somewhere between mile 2 and the third blister, I realized something. I didn't want her back. Not even a little. I didn't miss her voice, her presence, or her perfume, which always smelled like citrus and condescension. What I did miss was the version of me that existed before I shrank to fit her moods. See, Melissa had a way of making everything feel like my fault, even her bad decisions. If she forgot to pay a bill, it was because I didn't remind her. If she stayed out too late, it was because I wasn't fun anymore. If she cheated, it was because I stopped making her feel wanted. That's how it works. Cheaters don't just lie, they rearrange reality. But in that lake house, with the air crisp and the phone finally quiet, I started rearranging it back. 2 months in, I got the final asset documents. Melissa wanted the car. Fine. Take it. She always hated my music anyway. She wanted the living room set. Great. It was never comfortable. She wanted the dog. We never had a dog. That part confused me. Turns out, Jared has a dog. A golden retriever named Scout. And now she wanted to play house for real. New man, new dog, new delusion. The only thing she didn't ask for? Me. But she did request a conversation. Closure, she called it. I declined. Politely. Then she sent me a letter. A real one. I almost respected it. It read, I've been doing a lot of reflecting. I know I hurt you. I know I lied. But I still believe we had something real. I'd like to talk, not to fix things, but to make peace with them. Melissa. It took me a week to respond. Not because I was debating, but because I wanted to write back in a way that said everything without sounding like I'd spent hours crafting a mic drop. I sent this. Melissa. What we had was real for a while. But so was the moment you chose to erase it. You're not the villain in my story. You're just someone who stopped choosing me. I've made peace. Just not with you. J. I folded it once, sealed it in an envelope, and mailed it from town with a first-class stamp. No text. No email. No return address. Just closure, delivered like a polite middle finger. By fall, the lake turned gold. The kind of scenery you'd think was photoshopped if you didn't see it with your own eyes. That's when the dreams stopped. I hadn't realized how often she'd invaded my sleep until she stopped showing up. No more weird dreams where she was laughing at something I didn't understand. No more visions of walking into a house where she was already gone. Now I dreamed of quiet things. Blank rooms. Empty trails. Clean floors. Peace. Then one afternoon, Maggie visited. My sister. The only person who had the guts to say, you dodged a bullet, while handing me homemade banana bread like that balanced out the trauma. She sat on my porch with a blanket over her lap, sipping cider. You seem taller, she said. Must be the solitude. Builds posture. She squinted at me. Or maybe you finally stood up straight after carrying someone else for 10 years. That's the thing about Maggie. She says what I'm thinking, but haven't admitted to myself yet. I had carried Melissa. Not physically, but emotionally. Through job changes. Through family drama. Through every disappointment she projected onto me like I was a wall built for target practice. I didn't realize how heavy it all was until I put it down. And standing there, barefoot on a cool wooden porch, I knew something else. I was ready. Not to forgive. Not to forget. But to move. Forward, not on. Because there's a difference. Moving on sounds like escaping. Moving forward means building again. Not because the past never happened, but because it doesn't get to own you anymore. That night, I made dinner for one. A real one. Steak. Asparagus. A drink that didn't come from a dusty corner of the fridge. I set a plate across from mine out of habit, then smiled and moved it away. I didn't need company. Not tonight. Not until it was the right kind. The kind that adds to your peace, not subtracts from your dignity. Melissa taught me that. By ruining it. It started with spilled coffee. Not the dramatic kind that soaks your shirt and ruins your morning. Just a little splash. Enough to break the silence in the corner cafe I'd started frequenting. She laughed before I could apologize. I've done worse. Once knocked over a whole tray of samples at Trader Joe's. She had one of those easy laughs. Warm, unforced. Her name was Claire. Not the fake book club Claire. This one was real. real as caffeine and kind eyes. We talked for 20 minutes before either of us realized it. Nothing romantic. Just two people, breathing the same quiet air. She asked what I did. I told her, used to be married. She smiled like she understood exactly what kind of answer that was. Over time, coffee became conversation. Conversation became walks. Walks became a dinner that didn't feel like penance. I didn't tell her about Melissa. Not yet. Not because I was hiding her, but because she wasn't worth mentioning. Claire wasn't a rebound. She wasn't a distraction. She was simple, honest, present. And me? I didn't feel like I was cheating time by being happy again. Melissa sent one final letter. No envelope this time. Just an email. Subject line, I owe you more than silence. I read it once. Didn't reply. Read it again 2 weeks later. Same result. She said things like, I didn't know how to say I was unhappy. You were good. I was restless. He wasn't better. Just different. She wrote like someone trying to be noble at the funeral of a thing they killed. She didn't want to get back together. She just wanted me to say she wasn't evil. But she was. Not in the dramatic, movie villain way. In the real way. The quiet kind. The kind of evil that dismisses your pain as mood swings, then blames you for bleeding. I never replied. Because the most powerful thing you can give someone like her? No closure. Claire and I didn't rush. It was 2 years before she moved in. 3 before I proposed. Not because I didn't trust her, but because I finally respected myself enough not to build on cracked ground. We got married in the fall. Just a few people. Her dad cried. My sister did too, but she swore it was allergies. At the reception, someone asked if I'd ever been married before. I smiled. Once. Long ago. She was a great teacher. Oh, they asked. What did she teach you? I held Claire's hand and said, what love shouldn't feel like. That night, under fairy lights and autumn leaves, I looked across the dance floor and saw people who chose to be there. Not out of obligation. Out of joy. And it hit me. This is what Melissa was always chasing. But she looked for it in shortcuts. In drama. In mirrors that said she was still desirable, never in the steady, boring beauty of being loved without spectacle. She wanted to be adored. She never learned how to adore back. You want the revenge, right? Here it is. I made it. Not just through the heartbreak. Past it. With style. With my dignity intact. Melissa didn't get fireworks. She didn't get screaming matches or broken plates. She got something worse. Silence. She got her affair. She got her man. She got everything she said she wanted. And she hated all of it. Jared? He left her. Apparently, real life wasn't as sexy as hotel rooms. The apartment they moved into? She couldn't afford it alone. Last I heard, she moved back in with her sister. New zip code. Old habits. She texted me once last year. Hope you're doing well. You look happy. That's all she said. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Because I am happy. Because she knows I'm happy. Because no part of my life even flinches when her name comes up now. That's the thing about revenge. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet sound of a man who never looked back. And if you ever find yourself standing in the ashes of what used to be your life, here's my advice. Don't scream. Don't beg. Don't destroy. Disappear. Then rebuild something so damn beautiful, they spend the rest of their life wondering how they lost it.